You're in charge of DJ.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to Matt Ridge's Davidson-Davie Community College Coaches Show. I'm Miles Poole, along with Coach Matt Ridge and Brandon Mullis doing our engineering work tonight. Coming to you live from Brinkley Gym on the campus of DDCC. We've got a great show for the folks this evening. We're going to talk about last night's home game against Catawba Valley, as well as touch on the other 6 games since our last Coaches Show. It's been a little while. And we've got a real special guest tonight, Jason Gore, Storm super fan, going to come up and chat with us for a little bit. And then we've also got, for the second time this year, 2 of our players, DJ Suggs and Najee Stroman, going to come up and chat with us for player interviews. So should be a pretty good show.
All those gentlemen, especially our players, are really special to me. I've known Jason since I was in high school, and he's been here since day one. We started the program in 2007, so it'll be great to hear his perspective, as well as DJ and Najee. We've got, obviously, a lot of other people inside our inner circle here with Manuel and his wife, Tim Willem, who's done everything imaginable this year, including driving the bus. And then Scott Overton's over there. Been here since day one as well, so it's good to see Coach Mullis out here and everybody who helps us behind the scenes.
Well, we want to remind our viewers that you can ask Coach Ridge or any of our guest players a question via the Facebook link, so we'll be following this as we go along. Jared Bowman already chiming in. Go Storm. So let's jump right in, Coach. 29-1, you're 21-1 in conference play, second ranked in the nation behind undefeated National Park College. You are the Region 10 regular season champion again, and the number 1 seed heading into the conference tournament. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Quarterfinals, you guys start there March the 7th. But let's look at the games that we've played since the last Coaches Show, and we'll go way back to February 8th. You guys had a road game against a former conference opponent, Patrick and Henry. They dropped down to D3 this year, but they've been very competitive. They've played some really good ball games, had some big wins. You guys led at the break in that contest. Close ball game, up by 3 at the break, but you were able to stretch that 3-point halftime lead into a 95-81 hard-fought road win. What were some of the things you were able to do against the Patriots to come away with that victory?
Well, first of all, I want to say Chris Meshack does an excellent job, not just in recruiting but coaching. That program's been on the rise since he's been there. They played us close last year when they were in our Division II league, twice, once at their place and once here. So I knew going in that game, we scheduled it on purpose, intentionally late in the year to prepare these guys for the postseason. Regardless of what level they are, they're a really good opponent, and they've been really good all year, and they made the regional finals last weekend against St. Hills. They led the majority of that game. They ended up losing, but they led the majority of that game. But Chris does a great job. We turned it over a ton. We were not at our best, exposed some of the things I need to do a better job as a coach to make sure these kids can handle getting trapped out of that man-to-man when teams scramble. DJ and Jacob, I think, had great games. I think DJ had 19, Jacob had 16 and 9. But Ethan English was phenomenal. I think he was 8 of 10 from the field with 23 points. So those 3 guys really carried us offensively. But, again, my takeaway from that was, can we take care of the ball? One of the 3 things you have to do to win championships, and the other 2 is defend and rebound.
You mentioned Ethan's 23 points, I think, in a little over 27 minutes of play. I don't know, this may have been his career high at DDCC. I'm not sure. But typically what we've seen from Ethan is pass-first mentality, and when he runs the offense. Was there something that you guys wanted to do different with him in that game, or did that just kind of unfold?
It just evolved. I mean, we tell the kids all the time, play the game the right way, make the right decisions, and that night he happened to make the right decisions for him to score. But he does affect the game in more ways than just creating, for his teammates in terms of passing. He's usually guarding the other team's best guard. He flies around defensively and plays with incredible energy usually, and he gets probably the most deflections, if not the most, certainly one of the most on our team. So he contributes in a lot of ways other than scoring that particular night. He put the ball in the basket for us at a high rate and a high percentage. I think 8 of 10, 80% from the field is phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, we stay on the road for a conference game February 11th against Johnston Community College. Again, you guys come out with a big win, 114-54. What were some of the keys to help you guys come away with a win over the Panthers on the road in that game?
Well, we got up big early And my challenge to them, and we've had issues with this off and on all year, is can you keep your foot on the pedal when you have that lead and play the game the right way no matter what the scoreboard says. In that particular afternoon we did. So really proud. I think we ended up with 7 players in double figures, which is always important to me to have balance.
Only 7 turnovers in that game too. That's always a
that
big
was the
help.
best stat of the
Yeah.
game.
Yep.
You know, so.
Next up, Valentine's Day game. That was right here at Brinkley against the tough Hurricanes team. Usually Lewisburg is very, very tough. We didn't show them a lot of love that night, right? And for those of us that were in attendance here at Brinkley, it was really apparent your defense and the depth of the talent that you've got on your bench were really the keys to this conference win. Talk about that defensive effort against Lewisburg and also your bench performance in the game.
Well, you know, we usually press 40 minutes. And that particular night, I thought we had a little bit more of a sense of urgency than we had leading up to that game. I think we forced them into 29 turnovers, which, you know, we like for our offense, you know, our best offense to be our defense, and that night it was. You know, we had a lot of guys putting heat on the ball. We call it TOBP, tremendous on-ball pressure. Guys were really playing relentlessly defensively, getting out those passing lanes and getting deflections, which leads to fast breaks and layups.
Yeah, 34 points off of those 29 turnovers was a nice defensive effort. Moving on to February 17th, Saturday game, right here. I missed this one. I hate I missed it. It was a barn burner.
Yep.
Home court against Bryan and Stratton.
Yep.
They came in here. They gave us quite a battle. I think they were able to execute some things. I think in the first half they led you guys 45-39. What were some of the things they were able to do to take that 6-point lead at the break?
Miles, I've been here 17 years, and I don't think I've ever seen, whether as a Storm player or opponent, go 9 of 10 from the three-point line. Number one for them was ridiculous. And 6 of the 9 that he hit were well contested. 3 were either in transition or where we didn't get out and close out. But you got to tip your hat. I mean, 6 contested made threes and 9 of 10. I mean, I don't know that I could go 9 of 10 without anybody guarding me. So, you know, he was absolutely phenomenal. Now, on the flip side, offensively, we're not our best. We made some poor decisions. We missed some shots around the rim that we normally make. We've been doing a better job of that since then. But that particular night, we were not efficient, which is a word we talk a lot about with Kevin Egan and our guys in our meetings, in our film sessions. But, you know, on the night we weren't at our best, and Bryan Stratton was really good, especially offensively in terms of making threes, and they played really hard. We still found a way to win. And that's a sign of a championship caliber team, that when you're not at your best against a really good opponent and they shoot the ball at a high clip, you're still able to find a way to win. So tip your hat to these guys over here to my right.
Well, in the second half, you were able to come back 82-78. That's a close victory. And you did it without the benefit in the second half of the three-point shot. You guys were 1 of 7 from beyond the arc in the second half. Your defense, I thought, stepped up.
Yeah.
You know, I look at the stat sheets. I mean, only allowed 33 points in the game in the second half.
Well, I got on them hard at halftime.
I was going to ask you if you did anything differently.
Yeah. Well, defensively, it's not that we changed really in terms of a huge adjustment. Sometimes it's not, you know, making a huge adjustment. It's not what you're doing. It's how you're doing it. And the second half, our kids just really responded and played with more of a sense of urgency and getting out on shooters and picking up in transition and blocking out and owning space and rebounding. So it was just a matter of them getting back and having the right mentality coming out of the locker room. Those 6 inches between your ears is really important in how your mentality is. And I was proud of these guys over here in terms of their overall grit and toughness and how hard they played the second half.
22 lead changes, 18 ties in that ball game. Bryan and Stratton was the last team to beat the Storm here on this court.
5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago, February 16th, 2019.
Thank you for drawing attention to that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you now, you know, as a fan, we think differently. I just wonder from a coach's standpoint, were there any points in that contest where you felt like this one might tilt the way of that 2019 defeat?
Miles, there's not ever been a game I've been involved with, either as a player or a coach, where I think that way. I mean, my mind doesn't work that way. My mind is constantly thinking, what can I do to give ourselves the best chance to win? It doesn't matter if we're down 10 or up 40. I want to play the game the right way. That's the way I was taught by my high school coach, Robert Kent, who's a Hall of Famer, and then, of course, my years in Chapel Hill. So you play the game the right way because you're constantly building habits. Basketball is a game of habits, and if you allow them to change what they're doing, they're either going to be good or bad habits. And if you want to win a national championship, you cannot allow bad habits.
Great answer. On the 21st, the Yetis of Cleveland Community College made their first trip to Brinkley, first ever trip, their first year program. You guys had beaten them down at their place earlier, 94-69. This game had essentially the same outcome as the first game. You guys winning at 86-63, hard-fought win. And I say hard-fought. To me, just watching the ball game, calling the ball game, it looked to be very physical. Both of you guys had 27 fouls apiece from a team perspective. Was the first contest with Cleveland that physical?
The first one was physical. The second one, I thought you could use the word physical to describe it. You could use other adjectives like maybe a little chippy here and there. Yeah. But I thought our guys the second half did a great job of controlling what they can control, and that's their mentality, their attitude, and regardless of what their opponent does or how they do it, we can control the way we respond. First half, we weren't very good at that. Second half, we were elite at that, and I thought as a result of us focusing on Davidson and not complaining to referees or whatever was going on the opponent's side, we focused on what we could do to win the game. And DJ got hot, obviously, in that game in the second half, which, when the ball goes in the basket, like Roy Williams always said, everything looks a lot better, and DJ made shots.
Well, you mentioned DJ. Two of our player guests on tonight's show had really strong games in that. So DJ and Najee both. Yep. Talk a little bit about their games in that contest.
Well, DJ was 5 of 10 from 3, 50% phenomenal, like Barron was last night. Najee, I think, finished with 19 and 13 boards. Tyler also had 10 and 8 in less minutes, so that was impressive off the bench. And Trey had 16 and 6. So there's 4 guys that played huge for us. Obviously, DJ's threes, Najee 19 and 13, Tyler 10 and 8 in limited minutes, and Trey was 16 and 6.
Well, February 26th, you go back on the road. This was a makeup game, really, a game that was rescheduled from earlier. Southwest Virginia, you'd beaten them pretty handily back in December, and this time you came out again on top. Pretty easy victory for you guys, 131-74 in the second contest. 7 players again in double figures in this game. Give us a little bit of the highlights of this win against Southwest Virginia.
Again, our best offense was our defense, and just pressuring them, full court man, wearing them down over 40 minutes. That's the philosophy that I was taught my 4 years in Chapel Hill, that if you're in better shape than your opponent and you force them to sprint back and you're pressuring them for 40 minutes, eventually, if you're in better shape late in the game, if the game is close, you should be able to out-execute them in the half court. Obviously, against Southwest Virginia, it didn't come down to that. But, regardless of who we're playing or how we, who or where we're playing, we want to play the game the same way. We don't really deviate from that. Now, there are games like Coach Hurd at Fayetteville Tech that does a phenomenal job of trying to shorten the number of possessions and that sort of thing. But Southwest Virginia, like Catawba Valley last night, they wanted to run with us, and we certainly are not opposed to that.
Well, we talked about the 7 players with the double figures. Mike Wade also had a pretty nice game there, 11 assists and only 1 turnover in that contest as well. We want to point that out.
Well, Mike Wade, I don't know if you've noticed, but in the last month he's been playing more and more, and he impacts the game at a very high level without even scoring. Obviously, getting the ball and running the show, not necessarily beating the show, but running the show, getting the guys in the right spots, talking, huddling guys up on dead balls, and, of course, his vision and anticipation is really, really good. And last night, he didn't score a lot, but Mike had a great game. I told him after the game, actually during the game, that he was playing really well. He did a great job on number 31. He had a sense of urgency of closing out, and we didn't even and Mike was a big part of that. 31 hit a 3, and he's one of the leading three-point shooters in our league. So, again, Mike, like a lot of our players, impacts the game without scoring.
Well, you did win last night. You mentioned last night's game. Catawba Valley is where we'll leave off, 120-64 win. It was sophomore night for 6 of these guys sitting over to our right here, and all 6 of them had fantastic games. Talk a little bit about their games and about these sophomores and really the emotion that comes with knowing that this is the last time these guys are going to suit up for the Storm on this court.
Well, I'll start with Mike. Like I said, defensively he was phenomenal last night. I think he had 2 or 3 assists, 2 or 3 steals. Just incredible energy. And then the other 5 guys, I think all 5 scored in double figures. Zaire and Barron to start the game, I felt like they were out there by themselves shooting. They couldn't miss. The ball wasn't even hitting the rim. And then, of course, Najee and Jacob and Trey were also really good. Najee 15, Jacob 16, Trey 17. Barron had 19 and Zaire 13. It was just fun to watch sophomores go out in that fashion, and not just blow out your opponent, but they have big time games, and they'll always remember that last game on that court, and not just in win, but in the way they won. And those 6 guys never lost in that gym. So again, you got to tip your hat to those guys. That's not easy to do. I don't care what league or where you're playing. That's not easy to do.
Yeah, it was a really fun night for those guys, and for us fans too. So I want to mention, you've also got some players earlier this week. I think the school released the all-academic list, and there's 7 guys on this team that made that. Ethan, Trey, Kobe, Alex, Zaire, Nige, and Mike. Talk about that accomplishment for these guys and the commitment it takes to excel in the classroom, but also play for an elite basketball program like you guys are.
Well, they say athletics, not just basketball, but volleyball or every sport, is kind of the front doorstep to the school in terms of the community and how there's a connection. But the main reason we have a school is for these guys and ladies to get an education. And for us to have that many guys on the all-academic team speaks volumes to not just their commitment academically, but their character, their willingness to budget their time in a way that they're successful, not just on the court, but especially in the classroom. And several of those guys you just mentioned had 4.0s. So just so incredibly proud of their commitment to excellence, not just on the court, but in the classroom.
Well, we're at the end of the regular season, so we'd like to have, before we bring up Jason, we'd like to have your thoughts, Coach, on how we look and how you feel as we head into tournament play again in the quarterfinals. We play, I think, the way the conference shakes out, the 8th and 9th place teams, which we know
Correct.
are Catawba Valley and is it
Central Carolina will travel to Hickory Monday night at 7 o'clock to play Catawba Valley, and the winner of that game will punch their ticket to play us on Thursday of next week at noon at Cape Fear Community College.
Okay. We're looking forward to that. You guys are 0-0 now.
That's correct.
Season starts again now.
You got to survive in advance.
Okay. All right, so as we do typically, let's bring up our special guest, Storm superfan Jason Gore, going to come in. Jason, welcome to the Coaches Show. Nice to have you on board. And before we talk basketball, if you would, just give us a little personal life background on yourself.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, Miles, and Coach Ridge. Excuse me. When he asked me to come on, it was a very humbling experience. So for him to think, this much of me to come down here this evening and talk basketball, I'm very humbled. But again, my name's Jason Gore. I was born and raised here in Thomasville, North Carolina. Attended East Davidson High School. Spelled my name correctly on the application for NC State, so they let me in. Got a degree from NC State. Married to my best friend, my wife, Beverly. We have 2 daughters, 16 and 10, and we have a 3-year-old. He's I think Coach Ridge is already recruiting him for the class of 2036.
Nice.
So, he's a 50-pound 3-year-old. So he's going to be a future 6'7" post player for Coach Ridge one day. But live here in town, work here in town. Been a part of Thomasville my whole life, born and raised here. As Coach said, going through basketball camps at an early age, he was always a counselor at the camps I attended. So my brother Josh was head assistant for Coach in the early years at East Davidson High School. So I was at East Davidson for 6 years. My brother was head assistant here for the first 3 years of the program as well in 2007. So I've been around Coach Ridge, Candace. I've seen all 3 of the girls born and watched them grow up. So he's a big brother to me. And, when we talk basketball, I don't hold anything back. If we were bad, man, we stunk, Coach.
Yeah.
And he's humble enough to hear me out and listen to me. And, to say a super fan, I don't know about that, but I've been loyal for sure.
So you've been a fan, though, since day one here, right?
Yes, sir. Since day one, Scott's over there. I'm here. I know Mr. Sam, Miss Linda, Candace, Dallas Hicks. I don't know how many more how many more fingers we would need to put, our Coach Ridge, the original nucleus of the people here. But yes, sir. I've been here for all 17 years. And the previous years at East Davidson as well.
So before Storm basketball, though, you've got some ties to this school. I remember your dad played here back in the mid 70s. Before it was Storm basketball.
Yeah, don't make his head any bigger than it is, Miles. But yeah, he did play here. He was on the I think that was the first year they had a basketball program here. So he went to Thomasville High School. He graduated in 1974, and then he was on the original team that played here. And Coach Ridge has still got the original picture of that first team. So whenever I go in Coach Ridge's office, I always take a picture and send it to my dad and say, this little skinny dude on the front row right here, and he gets a kick out of it for sure.
I remember growing up. Your dad was just a couple years older than me, and then your Uncle Doug was a year behind me, so I was kind of in between. But we had some great wiffle ball games in your grandparents' backyard, so fond memories there. Do you get to attend many of the games? Do you come to all the games?
Most home games, I'm here. I'm an entrepreneur as well, so as my business continues to grow, it's hard to get to all the games, especially the away games. The Guilford Techs, the games that are close. I can attend those with permission from my wife. And I told Channy last night, I said, I should be home making lures, but I'm not going to miss these sophomores' last game. And, really glad that I came out to, those guys played phenomenal last night.
So if I ask you a best memory or moment in the 17 years that this program's been in existence, could you name one or two for us?
Yes, sir. I've got a couple. But, we were talking before the show, and DJ was here, and, I put the JV Carolina game, it was first because for a college like, the University of North Carolina, you're talking Michael Jordan, just James Worthy, all the greats. A team from Chapel Hill travels an hour and a half to Davidson-Davie to play basketball. They come in here and we blow them out. We beat them by 30 plus. That'll always stand out as just a memory that you can't replace. But the Patrick Henry game here this year, I think that's the best game that I've ever seen, played here at the college. It was just back and forth, the national tournament feel, the kind of game you need to have at that time of season to, get the guys ready for March in the late run.
Thinking about the early years here of Davidson-Davie basketball, can you kind of compare it to what you see now? I mean, has it changed a lot in your mind?
Yes, sir. It's come a long ways. And, in the early years, excuse me, we had fans. We didn't charge to get in, and we didn't charge for the first 5 or 6 years to get in, maybe longer than that, 8 or 9. So we had some fans come, and, it was a great place to play. We were D3 at the time. But I guess after that 9 or 10 year mark, when we really made that jump to the next level and everybody, really started getting involved and the kids started coming and more of the community got involved with what was going on and they understood what we had here, it just becomes a fantastic place to play. And, one of the things we didn't have in the beginning that we do now is popcorn. So, just to lighten the mood a little bit. So, yeah, we've come a really long way, and it's all, you have to start at the top, and it starts with Coach Ridge and what he's done over these 17 years. And he doesn't like to receive any kind of credit, but, at some point he needs to tip his hat and say, he started this mess, and here we are now, 17 years later, just continuing to win basketball games and, building a tradition that's it's just second to none. You just can't find it anywhere.
I was worried that they were going to take the popcorn out. It delayed a couple of games, but they still pop it outside, which is
yes,
good.
sir. Thank goodness.
So give me your thoughts on this year's team.
Oh, this year's team, they're I was talking to our pastor and my other buddy Caleb last night. I think this is the quietest group of leaders I've ever met. We've always had some guys that are very vocal, and they're not afraid to let you know they're in the building. You actually know when they're in the parking lot. But these guys go out and play basketball. They don't jaw a lot. They, when it gets chippy, everybody, can say something to them. But, you look at, the way Najee's been playing. I mean, he puts up 19 and 14, and, he didn't say a word all game. They talk, don't get me wrong. But, this year's team is I'm really excited for the tournament and what they've done thus far. So looking forward to seeing what they can do. What we call the third part of the season. It's go time.
Yeah, it's a shame we can't play any more games here at Brinkley. I was going to ask you about the experience here. You've been involved with this since the beginning. I mean, this place, 252 and 19. I mean, that's 93% winning percentage in the 16-plus years. What do you think it's so hard for teams to come in here and beat this team or beat this program? What makes playing in Brinkley so special? When
you walk in Brinkley, it just doesn't look like much. And I've been sitting on the front row, and I've heard several opponents, they've never been here. They come in, and this lady said, "This is it?" I said, "Just wait, ma'am. Just wait." Then after the game, she walks by me, winks at me, and said, "You were right." So, I kind of compare it to, when I went to state, the men played in Reynolds Coliseum my first year. So the second row of Reynolds is almost on the court, and it's so compact, and, that we're in your face. And when you throw the ball in, I'm jawing in your ear, the referee's ear, or something like that. It's just how compact everything is, and, it's just it's a very special place to play, even though it doesn't, hold that many people. It's just an unbelievable place to play for these kids.
If you're a young player listening to the show tonight or watching, what would be a reason or maybe some reasons for them to look at DDCC to not only come and play, but to further their education?
Yeah, absolutely. This is the junior college level now is such a step, that didn't exist when I was in high school. These kids have a phenomenal opportunity to come here, get better in the 2 years, and then go play somewhere else. So to come here, play for free, and then play your next level, for free as well, and come out of college debt-free. With this student loan debacle we have, we're not even going to go into that. But for these kids to come out of college, using their God-given ability to play basketball at a level, that's only elite enough to play here, it's just an amazing stepping stone for these kids, and what an opportunity they do have.
Well, final question for you, Jason. As we near the end of the season, we're 0-0, second phase of the season, tourney time. What advice would you give to these young men on this team on the upcoming conference tournament, and then as we move forward potentially to the national tourney?
Coach Ridge said it earlier, is to stay humble. We've lost one game this year because of the forfeit. It's a great feat, and these kids never lost here. So for the kids to stay humble and do what they've done all year is the biggest thing. And they just got to go out and play ball. I don't love to see us struggle, but at times I like to see us get down 6 or 7 because great teams make great runs. So, Fayetteville Tech, Yetis, they both went on runs, and I told my buddy, I said, just sit tight, man. We're a great team. We're going to make a run right back. And, we weathered just both storms, and we were able to come back and win. So to see these guys gelling the way they're gelling this time of year, going into what we call the third season, I'm super excited, and I know these young men can bring it home. Let's go.
Go Storm.
Go Storm.
So we appreciate you very much. Very
yes,
nice
sir.
job.
Thanks for having me, Miles. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the support and for all you do for
yes,
Storm
sir.
Athletics here. Jason Gore. Nice job, Jason. So now, player interviews. DJ Suggs going to come up and chat with us. DJ's second appearance on the show this year. So DJ, played here 2021, 12.4 points a game, 43% shooting from three-point range, 82% free throws. This year, the stat line looks about the same, 12.6 points a game, 34% from three-point shooting, and 83% from the free throw shooting line. So fantastic job, DJ. There's a question for you. What influenced your decision to come back to DDCC and be part of this historic basketball program?
Man, you know, it was a no-brainer. Coming back, playing for Coach Ridge, you know, lost in the national championship. So I don't believe nobody didn't think I was going to come back, you know. So that was an easy choice to come back and come play for Coach Ridge.
How has your game changed since your first year here?
I'm more of I wouldn't say more off the dribble, but I have been better off the dribble than I was in 2021. I was just catch and shoot. And, I'm trying to be a better leader for these guys so we can win a national championship in these next 7 games.
I'm impressed by your maturity and your calmness on the court as I watch you play. And I'm surprised Jason didn't mention this as because he was here for this game, but I'll mention it because it was a super moment for me just to be part of. But your three-point shot, not only to send the game into overtime against Henry Ford here at the Thanksgiving Classic, but the shot that you hit at the buzzer, the three-point shot you hit at the buzzer in overtime was one of the best game winners I think I've been witness in person, and certainly since I've been broadcasting games. Walk us through that shot and talk a little bit about your ability to stay cool in clutch situations.
It's very rare to see me get very aroused or just think we're going to lose when we get down, because I know with Coach Ridge coaching and my brothers that's behind me on the court, I know we could pull through any type of game, any type of situation. And the whole time I'm thinking about the shot, to be honest, what people don't know is I feared for my life when I threw that ball to Jacob, because I just knew I turned it over and I was going to be the reason that we lost in this gym in 5 years. But like I tell Jacob every day, I thank him, because without him, if he ain't tipped the ball, Aiden would never got it, Mike would never got it, and we would never got the shot off. So I really think more of Jake than me for that shot, for real. So.
Well, when you saw Aiden driving to his right, were you thinking that ball's coming back to me?
I ain't going to tell you no lie out here. I just did whatever just to get open, because if I got the ball, I just knew I was going to hit it. So,
well, it was a great shot, DJ. It was cool to be part of that and witness it. So nice job. Earlier this year also, you were able to go back and play in front of a lot of your family and friends in your home county against Pitt, and then the next day Lenore. That week in the Storm won both contests. You had really good games, 19 points against the Bulldogs, 24 points against the Lancers. How special was it to go back and play in the county that you're from in front of your family and friends?
it was real special. I had people that haven't seen me play since high school and that really wanted to see me play. They supported me through this whole journey that I had. So just to play in front of my family and friends was just a blessing. And it was just surreal because it just felt like long overdue, and I was just ready for that moment.
Let me ask you this. What are some examples of the attention to detail that this gentleman over here, Coach Ridge and his staff, Coach Dumas, emphasize on a consistent basis to get you and your teammates so well prepared?
They on it like white on rice, to be honest. They just don't let us do the bare minimum. They want the very smallest details that you wouldn't think that matters to them, and just because we've been winning like we have in this region, it won't work in the national tournament. So he's just trying to emphasize the details right now, so when we get to the national tournament, we could be able to execute in a half court.
So what's it like playing for Coach in your second season?
I mean, it's about like the first year, but this year a little bit different because he's looking for me to do more. I play with Javion LJ, so it was like a collective thing with us because we came in 2019, all came in together. Then we came back the next year and played. But just like being the oldest on the team and knowing that I went to the national championship with him, I wouldn't say ask more from me, but he just thinks more of me, and I thank him for it.
So the national championship game you played in, I remember you coming off the bench in that game. You scored 20 points. You've been there. You've been at that level. You've been in that game before, and you know what it's like to play that tournament, which is tough, full of great competition. How are you using that experience to help in a leadership role with this team?
Just coming in, just knowing exactly how to get to the championship. But, you know, it's a little bit of a few tweaks, just trying to win it this time. And, you know, we got to be unselfish. You know, the team that went to the national tournament, we was up, a couple minutes left. We started being, I wouldn't say selfish, but we was being greedy, start taking shots that we wouldn't normally take. And it came back and bit us. So I know when we get there this time, we have to be unselfish for 40 minutes and not 25 and not 30, not 35 minutes, but the full 40 to win the national championship.
How do you think in your mind that this team compares to that 2020, 2021 team?
I don't know. These guys right here, they just different. Like Tyler, you see Tyler right now. He just acting. You feel me? It's just a different vibe. But I love these guys just like I love the 21 team, and I feel like we could be just as good or better than them. So
it's important to be playing your best basketball as you head into postseason play. Do you feel like this team's playing its best ball right now?
Yeah, I mean, we could be better, but I feel like how the freshman is just like so poised and under control when we down. Like Aiden Taylor, like he's a true freshman. He come in, we might be down 10. Like the whole Fayetteville Tech game, he was poised the whole time. Henry Ford, he was poised the whole time, and that's gonna be big for us when we get to the tournament.
Well, I was going to ask you what your goals are for the rest of this year. I know what they are. So go and do what you know how to do.
Yep.
All
Snap of games to do it.
All right. I appreciate you, DJ. DJ Suggs, well-spoken young man. Good luck in the conference and the national tourney, DJ. Hey, remember to have fun. All right, next up we got Najee Stroman. Najee, one of our sophomores. Yeah, there you go. So Najee, last year with the Storm, you averaged 4.4 points a game, 2.9 rebounds, 0.2 blocks, and 9.4 minutes per game of play. This year, in comparison, man, you're killing it. 13.3 points a game, 7.9 rebounds. You average almost half a block a game. You're getting 25-plus minutes a ball game. What were some of the things that you worked on between the season to kind of change your game and having the kind of fantastic year you're having?
Honestly, I just worked on my strengths, which is shooting, finishing, being more versatile. But I would say the main thing that helped me produce more this year was just being available. Last year, injuries really bothered me a lot. So just being able to be available to get on the floor, that's really what made the biggest difference this year.
Did you come into this season with maybe a different mindset to say, I'm going to assume a really big leadership role on this team? I mean, did you do that? And if so, how are you showing that? Because you're a really quiet guy on the court.
Yeah, I like to lead more by example than vocally. I lead that up to, like, DJ. DJ like to talk a lot, so I let him talk. And I just lead by example. Like, in the heated games, I stay calm, stay poised. I like to keep everybody calm, so that's really what my role is, just leading by example.
So I got to ask you this. Last year you wore 34.
Yes, sir.
This year you switched to jersey number 4. Was there anything behind that?
Like Coach Prime said, you look good, you feel good, you play good. So that 34 ain't look good, so I need a 4. So I had to get up out of that. That's really the main thing,
Yeah, I didn't know if that was like a Richmond County thing because, your man Jarvis Tillman did the same thing. He was 44, then he came to 00.
Yes,
so
sir.
I didn't know if there was any kind of superstition behind the number 4.
It just looked better.
All right.
That's it.
So what have you enjoyed most about this year's team?
Really just all the different personalities, all the bus rides, everything that the team does outside of practice or whatever, just outside of this, just enjoying the guys really, and winning. It's always fun when you win. So,
This team any different than last year's team
yeah,
to you? Yeah.
I would say we're a lot more reserved. Last year, Jaheim Taylor, that's the loudest personality that I ever met. So he was one in his own. So
Flashy is what I call it.
yes, sir.
In your second season, your sophomore season, has your relationship or the way that you interact with Coach Ridge or Coach Allen or Coach Doom has changed any?
Not really. It's all love. It was all love from the start. All love now. They welcomed me with open arms. I was always comfortable coming to them if I had an issue or a problem or wanted to learn. So it's been the same from start to now.
So what are a couple of things, Najee, that you can tell us about playing for Coach Ridge that the average fan may not know, since we only see the Storm play on game day? Something maybe about practice or preparation or film sessions?
I would say he's definitely the most detail-oriented person I ever met. In practice, we're going to practice and prepare for every team the exact same. It don't matter if we're playing our best opponent or not so talented. We're taking every team the same, no matter in film session practices. He wants us to pay attention to every single detail, so that's what I would say.
I'll ask you the same question I asked DJ. What are your thoughts right now about how well the team's playing as you head into the tournament play?
I feel like we're picking it up a little bit, sharing the ball a lot more. The scoring's pretty spread out evenly more assists, taking care of the ball. I feel like we're starting to hit our stride at the right time.
So as a player coming out of Richmond County, a high school known probably more for football than basketball, what have you learned about yourself coming here in the 2 years that you've been here?
I would say really something Coach Ridge taught me, just make no excuses. There's no point. Just find a way to get it done. So I would say that.
And let me ask you this. Last night was your last night playing on this court.
Yes, sir.
To our right, you are a sophomore. Not the last game you'll play for the Storm, but the last game you'll play here in Brinkley Gym. What were you feeling? What were some of the feelings going through your mind as you played?
Honestly, I couldn't believe it. 2 years flew by so quick. Like, I didn't think it was going to go by that fast. Last year, I was just watching the sophomores last year play their last game. I was like, there's no way it go by that fast. Then the season started, and in the blink of an eye, it was already sophomore night. So it was really unbelievable. It didn't feel like my last game, but at least we went out with a bang.
Well, we appreciate you did have a great game. You've had a great season and a great 2 years here, so we appreciate you a lot. Unfinished business, go take care of it.
Yes, sir.
All right, appreciate you so much.
Yes,
Najee
sir.
Stroman.
Appreciate you.
All right, Coach, a couple of quick ones here. Heading into tourney play, tell us where we stand with injuries.
Overall, a lot better. Jake's back's better. DJ's still nursing his finger issue. Najee's ankle's pretty much better. Trey is still nursing that knee. Alex's ankle's doing a lot better, I think. Zaire tweaked his ankle again last night, actually, but he practiced today. Caleb, of course, is now practicing, which is good. Finally have him out of practice. And Dane is still coming off that shoulder injury. So overall, most of the bumps and bruises are healing, and it's a good time for that in the postseason.
So you guys get a little bit of a break before your next game. So you guys going to take any time off, or are you going to continue to go at it hard in practice?
We'll give them 1 day off.
Okay.
They get Saturday off. Today was all shooting and dummy-o. And then tomorrow is going to be a very challenging practice. Saturday will be a normal practice. Monday will be kind of normal. And then Tuesday will be game prep, because we won't know who we're playing until late Monday. And so Tuesday will be just like a normal game, film, scout report, practice. And then Wednesday morning we leave real early for Wilmington, shoot around down there Wednesday evening, afternoon, and then at noon to ball tips on Thursday.
Can't wait for it. One other thing we got, we talk a lot about family here, and we've got family members that are not playing for the Storm anymore, that have moved on to other schools, four-year schools, and are playing. Kind of give our fans an update on where they stand.
Javion has led Catawba back to a tie for first place in the SAC. They're 17-5 overall, 14-4 in conference play. He's killing it, averaging almost 14 points a game, almost 5 rebounds, and over 3 steals a game, which may not sound like a lot, but it is. It's one of the best in the whole country. Uzziah Dawkins, best player at Converse, averaging close to 20 points a game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Tim Boulware just finished his college career, led Greensboro College to the conference tournament championship game, which they did lose, but that's the first time that's happened in a long, long time at Greensboro. LJ still killing it at Leeds McRae, playing a lot of minutes, averaging around 8 points a game. And Faust is doing really, really well at Lynchburg, averaging close to 9 points and 5 rebounds. Aaron Ross and Keith Reese just last night, Shawan upset UNC Pembroke, who's in the first place in that league. Aaron had, I think, double-figure points, and Keith also did well in that game. And then Jaheim played really well just the other night. They had a big win also against the number 1 team, who's tied with Catawba for first place in the SAC in Wingate. And Chase has been injured, but he has come back and played the last 2 or 3 games. So all these guys are playing a big role in their team, and it makes me really proud. They're also on track to finish their 4-year degree in the 2 years since they've left us. So that's equally as important to me as not just what they're doing on the court.
Yeah, it's great to see those guys having a lot of success. Great to see Chase come back. I mean, he had 2 great games in his first game back. I think he had 12 and then 17. So he picked up right where he left off. So good deal. So all the Storm family still doing well.
And I want to say this about all those guys. Those guys, when they leave here, one of my biggest goals is for everybody to leave here with a better mentality than they came when they got here as freshmen. So. And all those guys continue to get better, not because of anything I did or my staff did. It's because they are choosing to have the right mentality and attack every day, not just in film session, not just on the court in practice, but even in the classroom.
Well, yeah, I want to give you a second to thank some of our sponsors. A lot of what happens here couldn't happen, and the experience on game day, goes out to a lot of people. And, this kind of show with Jason coming and Brandon and, Scott and Manuel and, I mean, there's a ton of people, Tim, and I mean, it's
an army of volunteers like yourself and Brandon and Tim and Manuel and, a bus driver / digital scoreboard guy, Rodney Sink over there, and, Brian Hughes' family's here tonight. I mean, there's so many people that love and care about these guys to my right and put in a lot of time and in some cases in their billfolds. So that does not go unnoticed. We could not have some of the things we have in that gym, like the digital scoreboard, without the donations. We could not even have some of these players to my right without athletic scholarships. So, the Todd Hunts, the Josh Hills, the Justin Stricklands, Fidelity Bank, Mohawk Industries, et cetera, are our top donors. But then we got tons of individuals like yourself who have reached in their billfold and given us money. So can't thank all those folks, because there's no question we would not be who we are without their money and time and love.
Well, I want to thank you, Coach, for all that you do, and Coach Allen and Coach Dumas for all they do as well. Appreciate Jason coming in and being a guest tonight. Fantastic job. DJ Suggs, Najee Stroman, great job, guys. And to everyone, Brandon Mullis that helps put on the coaches show. It's a lot of fun. We've got more coaches shows left. No more games for us to do on the air. Our next coaches show is going to be Thursday, March 14th. We'll come in and talk about the tournament. And our next game is going to be Thursday, March the 7th. That's going to be in the quarterfinals of the Region 10 tourney, and you're going to play one of two teams.
So I want to tell all of our listeners, if they don't make the drive to Wilmington on March 7th, 8th, and 9th, that those games will be streamed, not through Davidson-Davie's streaming, but Cape Fear streaming. So, again, if you don't make the drive to Wilmington, which obviously we hope you do, but if you don't, you can watch those games live on Cape Fear Community College's streaming service.
All right, good luck in the tourney. We'll talk to you guys again on March 14th.
Thank you.
Go Storm.